And we're back. Howdy y'all, this is Ethan Bonreal, back at it again, giving you that gay shit you love while playing some more Earthbound. So last time we were here, we made our way through a stinky sewer, and I talked a little bit about how being gay can make your relationship with your family awkward during the holiday season, and how playing Earthbound made me a little bit emotional as a gay nerdo in college. This time around, I'm going to talk a bit about my growth from a wayward teenager to an evil homosexual, and then a plucky anime protagonist. And as a heads up, I am a little bit sick right now, so I might be coughing a bit throughout the video. I'm going to edit that out for the most part. But I'm going to be sounding a little bit hoarse. So what you're hearing right now is my actual real voice, I would like to say. Normally when I record videos, I'm speaking in a bit of a falsetto because my voice is so deep that it reverberates throughout the microphone, and it just sounds kind of garbled, and it's hard to tell my words apart from each other. Like, they just run into each other, and I sound like like that. But anyway, I heard the gays were all about that bass, so y'all can enjoy the dulcet tones of unmodified Bonreal for just today. Anyway, how y'all nerds doing? I'm doing just dandy besides being sick. You know, I had an annoying situation that I'm going through with this dude who I've hooked up with in the past. And he just straight up, like, is not... He's being annoying. Like, sometimes guys can be real needy sometimes. And I don't mean that in a bad way. So much is just like... That's the thing that causes friction when you have very different, like, contact needs. So, like, sometimes, you know, I want affection and attention, much like other human beings, but when you're really demanding about it and you start getting passive-aggressive or you don't respect people's boundaries, that gets really annoying. Or you're just inconsiderate of, you know, what's going on with other people. Like, I told this dude straight up, I'm fucking sick, and I'm not gonna hook up with you, and he just started getting really pissy, and it was kind of annoying. Actually, that's not true. He's not getting pissy. He's just... I can feel his, like, annoyment with me, because I haven't been able to really meet up with him in a while. And part of the reason was I've told him I'm not gonna meet up with you past 12 a.m., and he just always, like clockwork, is like, oh, well, I'm gonna message you at, like, 1 or 2 a.m. and want to hook up. And I've literally just explained to him I'm not doing that, and he just seems to not be interested in understanding that. Which is whatever. But anyway, so the goal for Earthbound in this video is that we are going to do another dungeon, probably, maybe, hopefully. And we're gonna see how that goes, because the enemies in this upcoming dungeon are pretty hard, but at the same time the dungeon is actually remarkably short, which is handy. Let me see what we have in our inventory right now. We're good. And... we are good. Okay, we need to kill 1 or 2 more monsters so Ness levels up. So, the topic for this video, like I said, is going to talk a little bit about my growth. And the reason why I bring this up is I try to give, like, practical advice for people with depression or anxiety throughout my videos, just because I find that it's kind of hard to find a medium to get that kind of advice from. Like, usually when you see, like, gay advice, it's usually for, like, dating and stuff. But it's never really for stuff that, like, the more mundane things, like being lonely or not knowing how to meet up with people, or, you know, I want gay friends, but everyone seems to be more interested in sex, or it seems like all the gay people around me are really shallow. So I try to address things like that, and that involves giving my life experiences, so I don't want to make it seem like I am trying to portray myself as a gay guru. Just, I'm trying to make myself available to help people, because I know that we don't often have that many resources to really help ourselves with things like depression. But anyway, so, you know, I also want to give a little bit of a disclaimer here too. You know, sometimes in my videos I make assertions and I'm like, you know, things are this way because I'm gay, or gay people tend to do this or that. And the reason I say that is not because I'm trying to put people in a box, but I'm trying to basically help people, like, develop a language to kind of think about these kind of things, because it's very easy to, like, not recognize how being made to feel bad about being a gay person can influence other parts of your lives other than your sexuality. So, like I always say, part of the reason why I'm a nerd is basically because I'm gay. I was bullied a lot when I was younger, and because I couldn't find friends, I turned to video games pretty aggressively, and I immersed myself in those worlds. And that's why I developed an early interest in RPGs, although, honestly, I don't even like RPGs that much anymore, but that's another story. And games with stories or very beautiful visuals, because it helped take my mind off of how shitty everyone was treating me. And if you can relate to that in any way, you should comment or smash that like button, because I really do think, straight up, like, my experiences as a gay person have led me to be nerdy, and that's not how it works for everyone, but it is how it worked for me. And that's why I say the things I say, because it's like, of course everyone is going to experience things differently, but these are my experiences, and I'm just sharing them because I think they'll help people. Sound cool? So, holy shit, we finally made it out this sewer. It takes like 1,000 years to get back out of there because the spawn rate of enemies is so high. But we're gonna go ahead and roll up out this piece. And probably... You know what, we need to actually rest in a hotel before we move forward, because we need to make sure we are in tip-top shape, because the next area is very, very brutal, but it is very short, too. Oh hey, it's picture time. Shit. Coffin mom. Pictures taken instantaneously. I can't do the voice, by the way. I'm a photographic genius if I do say so myself. Okay, get ready for an instant memory. Look at the camera. Ready, say, fuzzy pickles. Thumbs up. We did it. Wow, what a great photograph. It'll always bring back the fondest of memories. Alright, we out this beast, so let's go ahead and make our way to a hotel, and then we'll sleep it up in there and move forward with the game. But, you know, I feel like I'm gonna tell y'all a little bit more about myself when I was younger. So, stop me if this is familiar for y'all, but when I was younger, I had a really massive crush on a boy I met on the internet who did not necessarily like me back, and he was also kind of casually cruel to me, but we were still friends. And what I felt like, let's see, this was when I was a freshman and sophomore. Well, honestly, it was throughout all of middle school, and then kind of stopped when I was a sophomore in high school. But basically how I felt was that I just felt like I didn't really have a purpose. I didn't feel like I was very good at anything. I didn't feel like, you know, there was really anything like a future or anything happy waiting for me. And I basically just felt like a loser, really. And that was basically what I felt like. I just felt very aimless, and hopeless in a lot of ways too, you know. I would go to school and people would be mean to me or just ignore me, so I felt very alone, and I didn't see that changing anytime soon. And then on top of that, I would go home and I would be treated not so great either, and I was like, really, there's just no happiness waiting for me in this life. And I won't say I was necessarily suicidal, because I never really got to that point, so much as I just didn't feel anything. It's funny, you can just kind of become numb to things in a very bizarre way when you're young and you don't necessarily have hope. You just kind of just do random shit and hope that it makes you feel better. And that's where I was, and that's why I was playing video games, honestly. I started playing MapleStory. And I basically did that to just avoid feeling bad about myself and feeling bad about life. It was just a distraction for feeling bad. Oh shit, I used the wrong ability. We're gonna use Healing Beta, and that will help Paul out. There we go. You know what I should have done? Actually, we're gonna take advantage of this now, but I shouldn't have used that hotel, because we can heal for free in this palace. Hey, it's a photo time. So I guess I gotta do the not voice again. Pictures taken instantaneously. Spoilers, I'm not gonna read all this because it's too many words. Alright, get the fuck out of here. Thank you, and he snapped us up. Alright. But basically, I felt kind of like I felt like a disappointment. I felt like a loser. I felt bad, basically. I felt very gay and sad. And, you know, I met this guy, and I met him through MapleStory, and he was the biggest... Are you kidding me? Another fucking photo? Okay, whatever, it's fine. Pictures taken instantaneously... Nah, we ain't reading that again. But... met the dude through MapleStory. Maybe I'll get to finish this story, or we'll have another photograph happen, but we'll see. And this guy, I just basically instantly became obsessed with him, TBH. Like, I had never really had anyone who was really interested in me or concerned for me. And he kind of gave me something like that when we hung out online, and I just really became extremely enamored with him, and I grew to really care about him, and I fell in love with him a little bit, which is, I mean, I'm not embarrassed to say that. I was also like 13 or 14. I wouldn't do that now. I'm not really interested in online boyfriends, but he was also very cruel to me, and part of it was because he was going through his own problems. But regardless, even if he was cruel to me, I still loved the living shit out of him. Oh my god, I was so in love with this man. Well, this boy, really. And eventually it got to a point where it was just very bad for me. Like, he was making me feel really bad. I was like crying throughout the day. Because of stuff he would do to me or say to me online. And I was like, I don't need this. Like, I wish there was more to this life than just, you know, looking for random things to make me feel better. And then the things that do make me feel better actually also make me sad. Like this guy, like, it felt good to be with him and hang out with him online, but at the same time, he made me feel bad because he just wasn't really a considerate person. So, we are in the next dungeon of Earthbound right now, and this is probably one of the harder areas. Like I said, it's very hard because the enemies do a lot of damage, and some of them have an instant death status effect that they use. How this relates to what I'm talking about, it doesn't, but I have to update people who are listening to what the fuck I'm actually doing. So, around this time, when I was a freshman in high school, I joined band, and I had barely done music in middle school, and my band director in middle school didn't really like me, and he didn't really show me that much support. He didn't really see me having the discipline or anything to be a musician, and he was kind of pretty upfront about that too, TBH. And so I just didn't really know how to read music that well or play an instrument that well. I played the trombone. And then when I got into high school, I joined late because I transferred schools, and I still didn't know anything, and everyone was so far ahead of me, and it just made me not want to do it, really. But I stuck with it in part because my school did not really let you change classes at all once you picked them, so I was just stuck with band. And eventually... Well, I guess I'll just tell you. So eventually things with that guy got pretty bad, and it's not like he was beating the shit out of me. He's an internet dude, but he was just really hurting my feelings really regularly and being really mean to me. And eventually I was like, you know, I don't want to feel like this anymore. and I couldn't tell him not to message me because I was like, I would literally rather die than not not talk to him. But I was like, okay, I need to figure out a way to like fix this basically. And what I did was I basically did something really dramatic that forced him to stop talking to me because I knew that I wouldn't want to stop talking to him. And that worked, honestly. We stopped being friends for a long time. And, you know, I don't know if I've told this story on video before. I've told it in real life to a few people, but when I sent that last message and he was like, okay, we're not going to be friends anymore, I literally cried myself to sleep, and then I had a dream that he pushed me off of the rafters of like a stadium, and I broke every bone in my body, and then I just woke up with the flu immediately. And I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, I was just so stressed out that I just immediately got sick, and it was pretty wild to me. But, I've learned that when you have discomfort like that, it's actually often a sign that you're moving forward in your life, but you're also just very scared. And so what was happening, like, not to be like a hippie or not to be too new age, but my body was basically preparing myself for life changes, and that's how I read that situation. You know, I basically was ready to move on to a chapter where I wasn't obsessed with someone, because really part of the reason why I liked him so much was that I disliked myself a lot, and I felt bad about who I was as a person. And so I just became obsessed with him and his life so that I didn't have to deal with how I felt about myself, which is what I was really trying to get at when I was saying that sometimes when you're gay and you're sad, you look for other distractions to help you deal with it, like video games. And in my case, it was both video games and a boy. And if you can relate to that, again, smash that fucking like, because that's just how it goes sometimes, y'all. So, once I started once I stopped talking to him, I basically focused a lot more energy on band because I was like, you know, I just needed something to do basically other than think about him. And I was still very sad. I didn't necessarily cry a lot at that point in time, but I basically was like a zombie. I just didn't feel anything. But I didn't want to feel that way because I just didn't. And so I pursued band more, and it was hard, honestly. You know, I would practice and then feel like I wasn't getting anywhere, and it would make me feel bad about myself. Because I think that's what happens to a lot of other gay people I've met, myself included. When you try to do art or something and it doesn't work out the way you want, it just makes you feel worse, even though it's supposed to be therapeutic, because you feel like, why can't I do anything? Like, why can't I succeed at anything? Like, why is this one thing I want for myself not going well? But it worked out in the long run. But it took a while, and I just felt very directionless. But eventually, someone actually started giving me lessons for my instrument, the trombone. And when someone showed me that, like, attention and really believed in me, it really, I started to soar, basically. My goal going into having lessons for music actually was to, this might sound a little bit cheesy, but I was like, you know what I really want to do? I want to be able to play what I feel. Like, I don't want to just have to read music, but I want to be able to feel something and just make it so. I want to be able to feel happy and play something happy, and I want to feel sad and play something sad. And we're actually going to leave this dungeon for half a second because we have to take Ness home because he's fucking homesick and he's poisoned. When you're homesick, you miss turns because you're busy thinking about your mom and the life you left behind, which is it's pretty cute, and that's a very interesting non-conventional status effect. But like I was saying, we're gonna have to find an open area to teleport in. I think this is big enough here. We'll do it. Alright, let's do it, Pooh. And we're gonna teleport to Annette and just visit our mom in person. I coughed again. But I wanted to play what I felt, and that's very hard. But it's good to have a goal for stuff like that. And I never told my instructor, the one who was giving me lessons, that. But he just believed in me, and he actually gave me, even though for at least to my knowledge he's a straight married man, he gave me probably some of the gayest and blackest advice I could ever get. And he was like, it doesn't matter what you say or do when you're playing an instrument, you just have to sound glorious. And I was like, okay, that's woke. And he just was like, and to do that, you just have to have good fundamentals and have the dedication to maintain it. And he helped me recognize in myself that, improvement is really measured not in individual instances of doing something so much as how you perform over time and your ability to progress. So what I mean by that is I think a lot of us tend to get really discouraged when things don't go well instantly, and we kind of give up on ourselves, because I think, when you're doing something... So I'm going to have to link what I'm talking about here. So like I said, I think some of us tend to do things to make us feel better. And when you're doing something like art to make yourself feel better, but like you have a fundamentally negative view of yourself, sometimes it's very hard to look past how you feel immediately and look past like you not succeeding and not seeing that as part of a journey, but seeing it as like a personal failure on your part. And you see yourself as just someone who's not good at it rather than someone who is slowly improving at it. Does that make sense? And that was very hard for me to learn, but he really drilled it into me, and he helped me come to that understanding about myself and how improvement works. And so eventually I just started actually improving by leaps and bounds, actually. I would just practice all the time. I would literally practice, like I would get to school early and practice for 2 hours before school, and then I would leave class and stay at school till probably like 8 p.m., so another 4 hours, and practice that entire time. And I would just love it. I would love every second of it, because it was like I had this determination. But at the same time, before, initially when these lessons were going on, I had kind of developed a little bit of a cruel personality. I wasn't necessarily mean to people in high school, but as I was ending middle school, I had developed kind of a cruel personality, and that carried over into high school a little bit, where I just was very just hostile toward other people, and would just like, basically I expected people to be mean to me, so I just kind of was mean back preemptively. Or alternatively, I was really mousy. It was like one or the other. I was either very quiet and just very shy, or I was just like blowing up at people. And I recognized that it was just in large part a defense mechanism, because I had been hurt by so many people. But anyway, as I started getting better at an instrument, it kind of taught me that discipline that I started applying to social interactions, and I was like, you can influence other people, and that people are a lot more malleable than they seem. And what I mean by that is that people don't necessarily have to automatically be your enemies, that you can build something together if you just talk to them, because that's something I never really considered. I always had a very fatalistic view of people, that like people are just always the same and they never change. And in fact, my favorite Naruto character was actually Neji for that reason, because that was very relatable for me. But as I saw that, you can change yourself through actions, through practice and dedication, and discipline, I saw that, you can actually change other people, and you can change your relationship with them. And so I slowly started actually getting some friends. I didn't really have that many I was super close to. But, and I actually, with people my own age, I was always an outsider, but with younger groups of people, like, by the time I was a junior, I had a few friends that were freshmen and sophomores, which could have been embarrassing, but I chose not to see it that way. I actively chose not to. And they really valued me because I was openly gay by that time, my junior year of high school, and I was friends with a lot of the other gay people in band and a few other people outside of band, and I would give them books on gay stuff actually and hand them out, and it would make its rounds through the people. One of the books I gave out actually was The Velvet Rage, and a few people read it and they really liked it, and I'm glad because that's a really good book. It's not super relevant to me now, and it doesn't really reflect some of my experiences, but it's a good book. But, should I maybe put this on pause and, finish this in another video? Maybe I'll wrap up this conversation. But, learning to play an instrument really taught me how to, in a lot of ways, be more comfortable with being myself. And as a spoiler, I actually never learned how to play well enough to just make music spontaneously, because that's something that I'm realizing I just didn't have the comfort with myself with, and I don't know if I have it yet, honestly, because it's like, I mechanically, I could do it. I had gotten actually pretty good at playing an instrument, and people were always commenting on my improvement, and I always had people who were just astonished at the fact that I could go so far, but I never got to the point where I could just play what I was feeling like I wanted to, and the reason for that is because I didn't necessarily want people to know how I was feeling, because I was scared. I was gay and scared, basically, I don't want people knowing all my gay business, and that's fine, honestly. Like, I didn't see that as a defeat. I just saw it as the start of something new. And around this time, too, actually, I started playing Super Smash Bros., Super Smash Bros. Brawl, that came out my junior year. And I applied a lot of the things I learned about music to gaming, and it sparked my interest in competitive gaming, honestly. That it takes practice and consistency to move forward, and that you just have to be tenacious and see through self-pity and self-doubt to obtain results. And it's hard. It was hard. I mean, I've had a lot of times where I've been both very frustrated with music and video gaming, competitive gaming, but here I am making these YouTube videos talking to you folks about it, so things worked out pretty solid, right? But in the meantime, I'm going to cut the video here because this has been going on a while. I'll wrap up this conversation now. So, the reason why I bring this up again is just because I hope that it helps other folks out and that this is something relatable that y'all can understand, even if you haven't directly experienced it, because I think part of learning to have sympathy for yourself is having sympathy for other people who are similar to you or maybe have familiar experiences. And you can see that, maybe if other people are struggling with this, then it's not necessarily bad that I'm struggling with it, and that it's something I can overcome. I don't know, though. I hope y'all liked this video. I think it was probably a pretty somber one. I didn't really talk about the game that much, but, I mean, y'all are here really for the gay shit, right? So, in the meantime, in between time, I'm Ethan Bonreal, I'm Ethan Bonsick, and I'm Ethan Bon Gone.